Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring you another season of SSRL Racing. On tonight, we have the first of three preseason tests as we are heading into our second full game, basically. So we just completed 2, this is the third. And we are once again kicking things off at Bahrain. And that means that we get to see the new LiDAR scan. And we are looking at the track map in any second. Just to give you a quick rundown for what's installed for Season 6. It's a 10 race calendar with a break after Hungary, as you can see, 5th to 19th of August between Hungary and Spain. We have Quincy's pick for tonight. There's a sprint race in the preseason Imola in 2 weeks' time. Silverstone's going to be a sprint race. And then people throughout the championship were allowed to pick a race for this calendar. Race Chase picked Melbourne, also one of the LiDAR scan tracks. T-Brand went for Jeddah. There was a 100% race. Reverse grid scheduled for Spa-Francorchamps, which is Belgium. Hungary, you are not allowed to use any hard tires. Pleasant Snake picked Barcelona. There's a mystery check in there as well. Zandvoort as a sprint race, and Monza with full qualifying, as seems to be the standard now to round it out with a full qualifying session. And obviously we are heading into the first season on F1 25. This is your track map for tonight, the Bahrain International Circuit that has been hosting the preseason tests for the real-life Grand Prix for a couple of years now. I've been moving off Spain in the later stages. We got an additional third DRS zone, which is now the second. If you start out the lap between turn 3 and 4, the dip in 4 is now way more serious, and 13 also feels like a bit of an elevation change. Turn 2 apex curb is also much smoother, but braking is tricky again, I would say, based on my own experiences so far. Plenty of overtaking opportunities and very little to no slow speed sections on this track. Looking at your lineup for this season, we got Quincy and Race Chase for the McLaren team. This is a bit too small for me to read, actually. I just realized. Need to be opening this as well, because it's a bit too small. Then is Kovachka and ADS for the Alpine team with Falco Warrior and Desi in the Ferrari. And then we got Cheesy and Eman for Haas, Bruiser and Nocebo in Red Bull. Racing Bulls opted for Toby Lenzen and Energetic Pleasant Snake and Jamaican Gem for Mercedes. Kuan currently the sole remaining. Williams, Olche and Tarkin Gino for Aston Martin. Skid Solo is back and is driving along Seibo. And then with Rolly, Teko has returned, Iron Ghost and Krankok for the reserves. And you can see a couple of new names, including both of the Hasses. Completely new, haven't raced with us, and we're gonna be keeping an eye out for them. And you might have noticed a lack of different names inside of this. This is because SSRL's 6th season is now for the first time split into pace differentiated leagues. So Div 2 on Tuesdays is slower than Div 2 on Mondays. And that is gonna be it for a bit of pre-season talk here before we head into this first bit of the session. 20 drivers are in. We got Vincenzo as a reserve as well. You can see Rolly is there, Truckster is there, a couple of other guys as well. Danger David, who will be completing the grid as this is pre-season. Yeah, usually G-Dave alongside myself, mostly because he's the lead commentator. But yeah, we will be continuing our work probably in a couple of weeks when the season starts, maybe even next week. Let's see. So VCARB is now Toby Lenzen, that's D2. Fellerson is D1 as reserve. Then Nocebo. Just gonna write this down for me so I can get you informed. I need to learn the new teams as well. Snake for Mercedes, that's way at the top now. And David. D1, so a couple of mixtures for these guys. I got Skid Solo returning. Mr. Ibo. That's gonna be very slow. Division 2 Sauber team, but let's see where they fancy or see themselves with improvements maybe to come. Race Chase is D2 as well as Quincy on pace. Now, some would argue that Quincy, after his very strong outings in D2, in D1 for last season, where he finished 5th or 5th overall, you can argue that he is probably also in a good spot there. But if you look at the complete picture, a lot of people stopped racing, for example, Control. A lot of people couldn't do Mondays on top of Tuesdays, so the pack was generally tighter in Div 2, and now it's spread more across evenly, and also new drivers have the chance to get into D2 as a reserve before they kind of mess around with the top guys. I don't want to be too harsh towards anyone, but that has happened. Tarkin Gino and Kovachka for Alpine and Aston Martin respectively. I'm just trying to sort the names still as the first times come in. And then there's a German saying for from the hand into your brain, basically, when you write something down. Rolly is only reserve for Williams. But that's D2 reserve, so that's fine. Truckster is nowhere currently, so I'm not sure. Don't know if he's gonna be racing full time. Korn is full time. First time he's not racing with his brother. I think in this league. There's Bruiser. And who am I missing? Dempsey. And Wouter is here for tonight. That's D1 though. And who's the second Aston? Euche. But that's correct. Alright. So, only Pleasant Snake on the medium. Some drivers, and that is Pleasant Snake and I think Race Chase, who are only able to race Dienst. Almost said it in German. They're only being able to race on Tuesdays, which obviously results in them, being on the grid for Tuesdays. But we had another preseason race that wasn't streamed, and Snake was very fast as well. And also Energetic is missing, who seemed to be fast as well on top. So I think Energetic, Race Chase and Snake should have been D1, but they can't, so they're gonna be fighting for the championship no matter what. And yeah, we're now racing with David. The first 15 have set a time. Unfortunately, there's no yellow flag in Sector 1. But I still can't see the time. I don't know when that will be fixed. 10 minutes to go on the clock. People are getting acquainted with the situation. It's getting to the point where, yeah, sunset is over and dawn is approaching. If I know these words correctly. And yeah, we can see the, not so much changed Mercedes livery from last year. Missing a bit of red at the top of the... Oh, and Truckster got a disqualification at the end of the pit lane for going too slowly and was disqualified for that. That's interesting. Yeah, it was a bit of a car park there, traffic paradise. Wow. And David went to third at the end of the lap before we saw this interruption. Yeah, Vincenzo, Wouter, David, all from D1, so yeah, you have to take that into consideration. And now we can look on board with this now extra dip. You can see a little bit of a climb that is naturally up until turn 4, and then you just cross into that part. As you can see now, also the track map on the intros for the F1 game also shows us a lot. And now when you go to the outside now, the car really moves down and you can feel the negative G a bit. Obviously not in your seat, but in the wheel. ADS has found the final corner exit spin. And we'll be continuing into the pits now. As Race Chase moves to third. I can't change the camera. Okay, thank you. And Wouter is going on another flyer. Let's watch with him. Don't know why the telemetry is not perfectly centered on your screen right now, but can't do anything about that camera perspective as I'm not racing myself right now, only spectating. So up the hill now into what is turn 4, as we said before, LiDAR scanned. So as realistic as it can possibly be. And he has found another 10th and a half almost. Curbs are very much flattened and not that abrasive. Track is still tough on tires and runs relative to other tracks that have so many straights with high downforce. But overall level of downforce has been reduced. Now you can see this shutdown into the paddock from this back straight, this parallel straight. I don't know, the short straight. The other one for me is more of a back straight. Up the hill, turn 12. Curb is also very flat now, and then you see this, how flat this turns. This turn is actually, and he has found 2/10 overall as we are approaching the final 2 turns, because there's a little kink in that as well. That makes the acceleration, especially on 0 assists, which we are running for both of the divisions, even more hard. He finds 2.5 tenths and is over the line. Let's see who's next. Takangino jumps into 7th, and Racers is into the pit lane. Need to get these colors right. That's Kovachka, but he's not continuing his lap. Pleasantnik on an out lap. Got Rowley invalidated. There's a Ferrari going slower because of tire warm-up still. And next is Euche. Currently slower. What is that yellow sector in sector 2? Do you see this on the minimap right now? Where the Aston Martin just got by? Not the one we are watching? Yeah, you can see it now. He has found 6 tenths, and then there's just a little bit of green in between the second sector coloring. Interesting. Just gonna pick the report code, and then this can be adjusted maybe. Over the line now for the Aston Martin, beats his teammate by roughly 3 tenths, goes into P6, and the next across the line is Vincenzo. Let's see if he has found something. He did, and is close to Walter at the top again. Another flyer coming in from Toby. Is gonna be looking forward to hopefully more improvements and better positions, as he has been struggling throughout the last couple of seasons, and there are only, I think, a couple of nice results were in there for him in season 1. Snake is the one to beat from the Div 2 one, so currently Race Chase is holding that, also beating a D1 driver, and Snake now beats Race Chase by only 5,000 of a second, and there's his teammate coming across the line now again with Danger David here for tonight, as Fellison is running the V-Carb, and he's putting himself into the 1 minute 29.8 now, so that's top 7. Let's see where Devsy has found some pace over the short break we had, and he has found 2 tenths on this lap, but no improvement on his lap. And Sebo is starting another one here as well. ADS still hasn't completed the time. 1 minute 8 on the dot basically. Let's see how it's pushing, how it's faring on now. All of the sectors have a bit of yellow, which isn't any of our concern now. We are just expecting the Alpine to cross the line. Very beautiful car this year, one of the best I think, and goes into P12. Let's see, skid solo, return of the man, the myth, the legend, only 17th as of right now, and Vincenzo is starting another attempt here. Next over the line is going to be Danger David, 700s currently on his lap he has found, and that would mean he would improve by 2 positions, because it's that tight at the moment with both Mercedes and both the McLarens, and now he's closer to the top 2 as well. And who's next across the line? Kovachka is starting a lap. Who is that? Is that Fellison into the pit lane? That is correct. Debs is on an in lap. Let's see what Ibo has found. Well, he's only using hot lap. Fellison has retired. That's not the fastest way to go around this track. Potentially slower, but let's see if he's now Gonna find some more improvements. No more improvements for Fellerson and also Truxer, who's already disqualified. 2.5 minutes to go. So Race Trace is about to start his lap now. Let's see what he's gonna be finding. You saw the fixed apex off turn 2 there. It's with no bollard and it's way flatter now. And then this kind of dip, you can see it here, nicely executed. No steering correction, no overall loose car, bit of a lock up here. And he has found 800s after the first sector, which would help promote him into a better position, which is currently for 4th. Vachka over the line now, probably, yeah. Let's see what his next run is achieving. 1.5 tenths he has found, and that is now P12 beating his teammate Rollier. Started another flyer. So we head back to Race Chase as he is approaching the next segment of the racetrack with 222 thousandths of a second improvement. If you can find that same number again, is gonna be looking at a top 3 finish, and he's close to that. Almost 3/10, beats Snake with a nice margin. That is not there and there about so far. What about Bruiser? Had a shocking season and is still trying to figure if his internet is his ally or his rival, because a lot of disconnects had been happening at the end of last season, mainly on his machinery, and there is no fast lap by Rolly at the moment. So let's go to his teammate. I think Bruiser is fast, yeah, but that's gonna be only a banker lap time at the end here now. Korn is not faster, no. Then let's head to who's out there on 1. Orche is. Takagino's behind him. Quincy is behind that as well. So yeah, just sticking with the Aston Martin. Maybe that's the second outlet for both of the Williamses. Verchka's retired. No more time left as we are approaching the last couple of seconds now. Yeah, and the flag is there. Vincenzo and David stay where they are. No Cibos through, ADS is through, Kwon and Skid solo as well. So only Rolly really made the line there, and Kwon had to abandon his lap as he's now there's no going further than P16. Deploy already used. I haven't seen this one on this year's game so far. That's very early, but still almost 3/10 of an improvement. Good lap still. Takagino also used P6 now. And there's an improvement by Quincy as well past Pleasant Snake. And he has to respond now. David is through already. What is with that Ferrari in the last 2 turns? Mr. Wouter returning. I was just saying the previous game wasn't his. Currently on provisional pole position, improves even further after this one. And now there's probably a bit of a blockage coming from Bruiser, and he spins in front of Pleasant Snake. Is that gonna be costly for the Norwegian driver? It's not! He finds the fastest lap at the end of the session! And I told you before, he's the man to beat inside of this season, even with Div 1 opponents. He is ahead. DevC goes to P15. No big improvement at the end, and huge spin by Bruiser, who is not finding a good time so far. Pleasant Snake is on pole by roughly 4. Yeah, okay, the math is not mathing because there's a 6 and a 5 at the end, but hey, I guess it's not the first time that has happened. And Mercedes on pole position, as Andy has been taking the drivers and the constructors for Div 2 and as well as the drivers championship for Div 1 we are now continuing, I continue to see this performance by a Mercedes driver, and this time in the hands of Pleasant Snake. It's regarded as one of the fastest. Now the math is mathing. Walter is second. Upon his return, Vincenzo and Danger David race chased the next D2 guy in front of his teammate Quincy. And Tarcangino and Euche, very good for Aston Martin. Then it's both V-Cups as well. What is this? Red Bull with Nosibu, Rowley, Kovachka, ADS, Devsuk, Juan, Skid, Soul in front of Sir Ibo. Upon his return, Bruiser dead last because Jackson already got disqualified. And we're just gonna take the moment to discuss tire strategies, as this game has seen some improvements, you can argue, for the tire scaling. And for this track we will be seeing the C3, C2 and C1, which are obviously in the harder range. We are seeing 29 laps for today, 15 turns and 3 DRS zones, with the pit limit set to 80 kph or 50 miles if you need it, on a quite similar downforce level, but just a bit slow, a bit faster than the previous iteration of game. And that will mean that drivers will still have to manage this quite abrasive track surface. And we are going to be looking at start in the next couple of moments. I have no information what is going to be happening. And we got confirmation that it's gonna be starting anytime soon. And yeah, there's a quick reminder that obviously 2 different tires need to be used, but this is no longer a 2-stop season, as we have experienced this instead of last season for season 5. And now the gimmicks are a bit more different, with driver bringing in their favorite picks from the top 10 of the standings, or top 5 even. And there will be other races like 100% race, Hungary with no hard tires, and then 2 sprint races as well. One for the preseason in Imola a couple of days from now, 14 to be exact. If you're wondering if this game is anything for you and you've tried to get into league racing as well, first and foremost, welcome to SSRL. We are the silly season racing league that has been running since the start of the year 2024 on first the 23 and then the 24 game. We've experienced now a couple of seasons, 2 splits we are currently having in place, and we do things a little bit different. We run no assists. Now we run to the first, and there's a formation lap for the first time. And that is good to see, because I really enjoy that. Let's look tires. We only got trucks on the hards. The rest is on split strategies, but the medium is the dominant tire. As Pleasant Snake, Vincenzo, Toby, no Sibo, Quan, Serbo, and Bruiser have opted for the soft tire, the C3. I enjoy sparkling water. I hope you drink something as well here today. Very much the teammates' line astern as we are heading into the second sector. I was very close with Vincenzo and Wouter. Nothing happened there. Bit of changes to the AIS. I think the deployment is now less prominent on the usage of hot lap. And since the general feel, based on my experiences so far, is that you race with the ERS like you raced in 23, braking seems to be similar as well. And overall the feel to the car in slow speed has been more 23 than 24, but you can get on the throttle very early still without the traction control. There's a bit of a gap right now by Nocebo. Tire warm-up seems to be much more manageable if you have the correct tire pressure set. And we are still struggling from overall overheating. But you can say that there's a lot more, or there are plenty of chances now. Obviously we are seeing very good game. You can just drive through them. As I think the Ibo is now parked up. And we are turning our attention to the 5 red lights on the gantry as we kickstart the pre-season of SSRL Season 6. And it's Wouter against Pleasant Snake at the start with a very poor getaway. Quincy is already into third as Snake is holding the line into 1. And there's also contact already with Wouter, David and Quincy who were 3 wide into turn 1. But you can't go through that with all of these drivers trying to jostle for position. Quincy with a nice start and Wouter down to 5th. That is nothing he wants to be seeing as Feddersen is into 6th already. And putting the pressure on to the Dutch driver in the Ferrari as we have seen a bit of carbon fiber flying as Dempsey and now Nocebo have dropped there and Takagino already through here into 8th position, has gotten himself a bit of a buffer now. And here is still racing side by side basically with his teammate. I'm just looking at, you can see who has the damage, and that might, yeah, that is in fact Schizzolo. You can see the green part of the front wing is, yeah, missing quite severely. The Snake has been pushing on, Vincenzo has been doing the same. And also Quincy is not a slouch, but David hasn't been pushing that as much. So he's maybe conserving that tire a bit more at the start here as his overall pace to be working for him. As now Quincy is breaking the slipstream or attempting to break the slipstream, and now this is the first time we can be seeing the usage of the IS, as there's, I think, Toby fighting with Kwan, who's into 11th already at the start. I don't think there will be a move at the top, so that looked like it was very close to each other. Let's go back, let's see how they managed to do that. And Wouter has dropped off already. That is a cut, I think. Very, very certain. There's still a yellow flag for no yellow flag, basically. Vincenzo has run wide at the exit, opening the opportunities for Snake to get away very soon, but there's a lot of DRS opportunities, so next DRS zone is going to be helping him out again, and there's a locker by the ADS, goes wide, almost hits Rolly, but it's fine. See if Nocebo has the opportunity. No, he's still a bit too far back, as David is going to be putting pressure on Quincy soon as well, and there hasn't been already a pit stop for Skid Solo running the medium now. And 30 seconds back from Bruiser. But I think the drivers at the back will see each other quite soon again. Trucks are still in there, as there been front wing damage to his car. No, there hasn't. Is Vincenzo going for it? He has thought about it. And then there's a tap by Danger David onto Quincy's rear right tire, and Kwon is going through on Toby Lenzen, so that's for 10th position, and he spins immediately at the exit. But nice catch by the experienced Williams driver, who's been obviously learning a lot from his very strong brother and teammate. And he has now continued this race in 12th position. Needs to be careful, watching out for these soft tires. They can go immediately away from you. Although obviously that is a very durable tire in context of the overall tire situation for the 2025 season, with also the C6 being introduced for the first time, and will be run again after Imola and obviously Monaco in Canada this upcoming weekend. Flip comes into the chat for the first time, says that smoke is insanely much, yeah. Even for a PC player like I am, it has gotten worse. It's like the fake patch they did in between the seasons. Danger David is currently winning a position for Mercedes, and Snake is under pressure from Vincenzo to lose the lead of the race, but the switchback was very strong and he didn't get the DRS still, and that has opened the opportunity for David to make a move here. Pulls out of the slipstream, stays behind, and he is now into third, so double podium for Mercedes. I have to say, the white thick smoke is staying on for longer, which doesn't help. And since there's now been a rule introduced where also PC players must run it on least low to have a similar disadvantage and an even playing field. Yeah, it's quite much. Myself, I've been running low on the past game as well, because it helped me to identify weather situations better. Because there's a fight with Rolly and Nocebo down, the straight two Turkish drivers going at it. And the second Red Bull is also into the drop zone now as well, and there's a 3-second time penalty to Rolly at the end of this, and Vincenzo has lost the DRS, is on 1%, 0% ERS battery, and now he's been overtaken by Danger David. Is an opportunity for Quincy, as Fallison has broken into the top 4 DRS chain, as obviously is a Mercedes 1-2 now, but don't let your eyes fool you, because this is not the original D2 lineup. Very nice helicopter cam we're getting here, as Vincenzo is defending the outside from Quincy, whose tires probably working better already, and there's barely anything he can do. There was a better line for Quincy there on the inside of 5 into 6 and 7. So he made that stick, and there's another time penalty, this time for ADS, as both of the Kicksaubers have now dropped back significantly. And Fallison is putting the Haas under pressure. Also someone who is gonna be racing in D1 on Mondays. And the train has started to evolve here, as Kovačka is now leading Kwon, and there's Fellison who's going by. Didn't expect that to be happening inside of turn 11. That's why I cut away there for a second. Let's go on board with Rolly. Yeah, don't let yourself get distracted by the yellow flag. There's nothing going on at the moment. Another bug then. And there's a change for the lead with Pleasant Snake now being overtaken by Danger David. And reminder of tires. That is maybe just a natural occurrence. And now the top 9 were briefly in each other's DRS window, with Kinsey still being there at the detection point for turn 1. And now there's a move up ahead from Kwon on Kovachka, fighting for P10 as we continue to give out points for the top 15. Kovachka runs wide a bit. Switchback opportunity for the Williams, and he's starting to brake on the curb. Exit is a bit better, and he runs it good. He runs it perfectly. He's ahead by the time they get to the detection zone, which is obviously going to be helping Kovachka. Now he has overcooked the rears again, and there is Toby getting by as he was patiently standing back there. Now something has happened because Fellison lost a whole second, and there's front wing damage to his car. We didn't catch that. I don't know if that was even there beforehand. Let's see what Pleasant Snake is maybe looking at in terms of tire opportunities with a pit stop. His race chase is now being overtaken by Vincenzo. There is a pit stop by Fellison, who has damage to his car. And multiple drivers will now get by on him as there's another overtake by race chase onto Vincenzo around the outside. Works beautifully most of the time because the inside line at the tight apex of 1 doesn't really work. And more shuffling around has been happening. No Cebos defending from Toby. And there's a brief yellow flag again for Kwon. He has lost another position to ADS this time. Rory is in no position to capitalize off the fighting Toby and Nocebo have been commencing. I think top 3 are going to be staying the same for now. And it's very encouraging to see that Quincy is able to follow both of the Mercedes. Stargangino and Euche have now been catching up to Vincenzo as well. He might have shredded his tires, or has shredded his tires very, very early. Kwon to the outside, and there's a spin by Vincenzo. And Kwon is going off the rails there. Can't be using any of the grip. Snake is continuing as his rest behind. Also Wouter on that medium, so he's not looking at an early replacement for his tires. But Vincenzo will be, and that is also the case for the other V-Carb in the hands of Toby. We can check, as this 3-second time penalty, we can check where Fellison is going to be coming out again. ADS with a 10-second time penalty. Went to the mediums, hards for Toby, Vincenzo, and also Tarkingino. Very interesting. See what works. I remember 24 saw a soft, hard, soft, I think. Could have been also 23, not sure. But we didn't see that in the 2024 of 3 games respectively. Adias and Kwon in the pit as well. And Fellison has rejoined ahead of Tarkingino by roughly 5 seconds, and obviously ahead by Vincenzo because he has spun himself around in this section of the track. Exit of 13, as we are waiting the answer from Pleasant Snake, currently situated just in front of this McLaren of Quincy, where Scotsmen are leading a Norwegian, leading an Englishman. And Snake uses the last opportunity to break into the pits. And the DS is still available for Quincy, who's becoming the next driver to challenge Danger David for the lead here, as they are very equally low on DRS. On ERS, sorry. Need to get myself into the rhythm again of commentating. And there's someone off the road, that's Ibo, and I'm looking. Where is Fallison? And he's about to join Orche. And way behind Pleasant Snake, which he was way closer to before. The ERS is gonna be open now. He uses the ERS as well. Pulls to the inside. As the medium tire is not that warm on his opponent's car compared to his own. And that is P11 for the Hungarian driver, who's been fighting with Andy neck and neck on both divisions. Saw a bit of a longer run for Div 1. And there's no move from Sergeant Dempsey on Rowley. Did he pit already as well? No. It's just generally running good as of right now. Time penalties. As you can see, 3 seconds for 3 drivers and then additional 10 for ADS. So David and Quincy come into the pit lane at the same time. And let's see what tire Pleasant Snake has opted for, the medium that is. So only a lap longer for the mediums. And now more people are joining the pit lane, and Pleasant Snake is about to take second place away from Quincy again, and he is ahead. Or is he? It's tight. Oh, there's the slightest of touches. But Pleasant Snake doesn't have the DRS from his temporary teammate of tonight. You might see them rejoin for the next 2 weekends, but after that it's certainly gonna be Pleasant Snake, and I forgot already who it is. It was Jamaican Jam. Okay, that's interesting. And now Snake is back again, and Roddy's leading the charge, but he is on tires that have been used from the start, so maybe he's running the extra long first stint to go to a hard. And we can see that David has gone for the hard, Walter as well, but he has dropped further away. Let's check with Truckster still running on that hard. Ivo hasn't pitted as well. Snake and Quincy now fighting. Rolly gets out of the way. DS Slipstream now coming up for Quincy. Now David sees that, moves over to help Pleasant Snake. And that means Pleasant Snake is back into P2. Not if this goes well around the outside for Quincy. Inside line needs to be given by the Mercedes to the McLaren, and he does so. And that means that was a very nice fight. And Race Chasers opted for a soft tire in the middle stint. Very unusual. But can help him to go further ahead. Is always a risk when you just pitted and you're on the soft. You just need to go again because they're not gonna be lasting long. Can't recommend softs in the second stint. Only if you're at the back, really. Otis pulled to 10s back on them, but he's obviously not in the DRS zone, on the DRS train, which doesn't help really. And Silver is pitting for the first time now as well. And Euche is having another good day, despite the time penalty so far. He's kept himself away from the rest of the field. And Race Chase is pushing on. As we're gonna be heading to the top 3 once again. Rear wing view from David's perspective. As they're both pulling along, is there gonna be a double overtake for Quincy? Certainly Pleasant Snake and him got the better of David. There's an immediate response. Snake isn't the one who has no DRS. He needs to get in there in the middle. And that's a Mercedes sandwich with a nice orange in between, or papaya even, you can say. And now they have sorted themselves out. This Pleasant Snake is now leading. And the slower tire from David could be used to defend Quincy from Snake. And they need to be aware that Walter is closing up, has found another second and more. Race Chase and is pulling along with Fallison and Euche as Quincy goes to the inside of David and gets by. And the Scotsman left in the dust. As Vincenzo has swapped with his teammate for tonight, Truckster, who is still running that old hard tire. And see if Kovacha can go around the outside of 12 into 13, still hanging it around the outside, no contact made, and he is ahead. And he needs a bit of ES now to get into the DRS of the car ahead, and that is the case. And David didn't have... Oh, there's no opportunity, but Walter is catched. He was caught Quincy, and there was a bit of contact. Race poorly managed angle by the camera there, so we couldn't see. Interesting now to see if Snake is trying to pull away or maybe slow down to get David into the window of the DRS and then pull away. As there's a swap for 20th on the grid. Mr. Ibo now being... or getting the better off of Bruiser. Truckster just pitted and there's a yellow for Toby. Toby has had a moment inside of turn 4 entry, maybe lock up, maybe getting too close to the guy in front. Quincy's low on battery, Walter isn't. Race Chases. Pleasant Snake isn't, but David is. We are approaching the halfway mark. With guaranteed another stop coming for these drivers, as we've seen soft and mediums for most of these. Only a couple of guys going for that hard already and trying to run long, as Euche is off track there. And no switch at the front, water isn't close enough. You can see the smoke there. And that is a very good position to be in right now. As Fallison is hanging and trundling along. And Takagino is defending from No Sibo. Was again on a soft. Yeah, that's correct. And there's a pass from Truckster on ADS because he's in the pit lane. And we're gonna see the first lap cars with Bruiser and Ibo in P19 and P20. Also a quick note, the Truckster and Pleasant Snake, well, the only two I'm knowing this of are running cockpit cam. And these two need to get out of the way now. And that was a bit sketchy. And that has brought Quincy back into the situation. And he's gonna be using that DS to save some battery because he's only on 6% and that's gonna be changed for the lead now. Danger David getting the better of Pleasant Snake, but mostly to an inconvenience for the Norwegian at the end of the previous lap. And both Ibo and Bruiser didn't get out of the way before the exit of turn 13 really. And Kovachka's in for the next pit stop. We're gonna be seeing the next probably very soon. And he is the third driver only to do his second non-mandatory 2-stop. Because the tires have been scaled back for 50, basically any percentage that isn't 100%. Obviously not the qualifying tire, because you're doing 100% of the qualifying sessions anyway, with 18, 15 and 12 minutes. Even if you only do 18, still the same result. Reminder, tires are going to be interesting next for Pleasant Snake, has the oldest out of the top 4, despite that still being a long way away from a pit stop. It's going to be the first one to come in and probably bolt on another set of softs and finish the job. Maybe second set of mediums. I don't know if David wants to be going long. That would be still a stretch. Fellison is in for the second time already. One of the first one that came into the pit lane. 13 laps to go. I think he's going to be using that hard now. So he's seen a lot of different tires already. And that is in fact the case. As the V-Car boys get to work. And there's now a gap opening for him in front of his teammates. Let's see if that is the case. And he just comes out ahead in P10. More drivers now have accumulated multiple time penalties as the train for the top 5 has now started to form. Olga has fallen back even more. But Race Chase keen to get another good result here, and this is the default Division 2 McLaren lineup with Race Chase and Quincy, where the latter has found serious pace at the end of last season, especially after fixing the input on his throttle. You can see if David is going to be under threat now. And he will be from his teammates. But no more than that. Quincy's still on charging mode. Yeah, basically only 60%. That's not going to be working quite soon. But there's a better exit now for the Englishman. Goes to the outside. David was looking like he saw the need to move a bit to the inside to defend turn 4. Going around the longer way is usually the best way for not only turn 1 but also turn 4. You just have to hang in there, but the tighter apex just leaves you hanging there and you just can't accelerate. There's a fight for P14 as Traxxas has opted for the soft tire. After his first pit stop is now under pressure from Kovachka, who's already pitted twice. So that's a direct comparison for 2-stop versus hard to soft 1-stop as of right now. With Quincy now approaching the back of David even more. And once again a reminder, there's no yellow flags for turn 1. And there's a 3-second time penalty for Toby, currently in 11th. Good showing. But yeah, next pit stops can be crucial for him. And there might be another swap at the front of the field. And that is the case. Danger David now back into the lead. Is Quincy gonna use this opportunity? As he kind of felt a bit too safe there. And Olga into the pit lane. Is the Martin driver with a later response to what Fellison has been doing. Pit stop for no Seaball. Toby goes offline, and the next two cars are coming in as well. And Olche has been jumped by Fallison. And tire warm-up is gonna be now the next thing he needs to be worrying about. As the Rolly is, after briefly leading the GP, in 10th position. And Guan has received 3 seconds, as they have severely dropped back now. Pit stops are coming in for them though. Second stop was already done by Guan. He's on a medium tire that needs to be going long now. 60 laps. I don't think that's gonna be the best idea. Reminder of tires. Rashes is even on a soft tire. He needs to be coming in soon. Don't. He has lost the DS now. You should be coming in now. Go to the medium if you have. And you still have the undercut opportunity. Pit stop. And Quincy is following that Mercedes. But really Race Chase needed that stop. But that's fine now. And don't worry, the Sauber in the background is a lap actually. Vincenzo with 10 seconds. Too fast into the pit lane. Quincy has stayed close. And he's gonna be racing Tarkangino as well as Pleasant Snake at the exit. Slight touch by the Aston Martin. And Olche is 5 seconds behind Fallison. Fallison is close to this group. And we're looking at the leader gap now to see if there's an immediate response by Danger David. And that is actually a hard tire for Quincy. So as for Snake, I'm surprised they didn't bring the second medium. David's gonna be at an advantage now at the end. Also, they did like 8 laps on the soft. Surely with less fuel it could have gone 9 or 10. Anyway, no problem. Race Chase into the pit lane. He might be too late. He lost the DRS on the back end of them two pitting. Also not close enough to Wouter. So yeah, he's gonna be losing out big time. He's gonna be dropping behind Fallison. But has opted for medium, which can work. Quincy to the inside now. It's gonna slow the process of them progressing down by a lot. And maybe Snake is now opting to help out his teammate. So Quincy is to the inside of 4. There's more grip on the outside there faster. And Quincy is ahead now. Snake. Now dropped out of the pit stop window from Danger David, which is approximately 24 seconds. Tire doesn't seem to be getting along very nicely. Tarkangino is still need for another pit stop, as is Rolly, Wouter, David, who's now lost 3 seconds to David. So truly not the pace representation. And that third spot on the podium is probably gonna be not decided with Wouter. Fallison made the pit stop work again this time. It's gonna be on a way older tire at the end, but set himself to get into that conversation for the top 5. And Wouter comes out behind Fallison. And is on a medium. was another time penalty. That was for Broly, 10 seconds. Leader gap has now increased to the point where David is gonna be on the brink of second or first, and he can be using a soft or medium again. And he's into the pit lane. He gets a 10-second time penalty. That is... yeah. I looked on the map and it felt like it was too fast. And it was too fast. So it's Quincy against Pleasant Snake against Fellison for the win. Is now David has disqualified himself from the race. Best tires Wouter. So nothing is decided yet. Snake gonna go for a move. And yeah, the fact of the matter is that David has stayed ahead and he has clean air. So if all of these four fight too much now for that final 2 positions on the podium, he can get away because he's already 2 seconds ahead. And now there's a 2 white moment already into 4 again. And that's just costing time. And if Snake wants, he can delay this even longer. 3 seconds already. And Wouter is through on the inside. Fedderson is looking to pounce on this as well. Quincy is defending to the inside. And there's someone on the inside of Wouter as well. Freshest tire Wouter. Oldest tire is with Fellison. And softest tire is with... oh, and Quincy locks up. Quincy locks up. Fellison goes through. Does he on the outside? Oh, the car just didn't turn as much as he needed it to be. Now they're losing heaps of time. And Walter is back into that second place position. Currently with the penalty applied. And we've reached the point where we're on lap 23 out of 29. And that means that we have 7 more laps to go in which David can extend his lead by another 6 seconds and win this thing anyway. If he's with serious pace against Wouter, goes as a division internal duel for 2 Division 1 drivers, and there's a defensive shape thrown by Quincy. Exit is compromised as he has an oversteer moment, and now the McLaren has dropped back from what was previously briefly second to now 5th. And as this battling has brought them away from the next 2 guys who are currently holding on to the podium. And David hasn't extended his lead at the top. What are the ERS levels? Very low, below 40. Most of these drivers. So what does that's the fastest lap of the race, which is worth nothing anymore. Removal of the fastest lap point has been happening also for us. Quincy down to 6 now. Certain podium is gone now. He's struggling. He's sliding across the track. There's no confidence left. It's just struggle and struggle and struggle. And there's another lap moment for Ibbo. think. Well, if... Yeah, might be. Could be skid solo. And Peasant Snake has lost touch with Wouter. So there's really nothing going on here. And no other battles are happening inside of the field. Let's check Ties again, who has a late charge in there maybe. Rolly, but too far away, too many penalties. What structures this idea of a race strategy tonight? It's the hard to double solved. Can be into P13 at the end of this. Time penalties reminder. And then the positions gain a loss. Fellison up by 4. Kovachka as well. And Trucks is up by 6. A lot of people also held their position. And we may be able to look at the gap now and see where David is gonna be dropping back to. And that is currently behind Quincy, so 5th position. But that is increasing. And now it's over 10 already. Wow, Ties stopped to find pace. Race Chase is staying within the wheel tracks of Fellison, who is with a time penalty, and Quincy is dropping back more and more. Can't see him recover from that. There was a bit of a mistake, and then he fell down the drain. As we just await these next 5 laps to conclude, as racing has been coming to a standstill here. I don't think Waters tires will be used that much anytime soon. Pleasant Lake has the weaker and older tire. So that has been working in terms of the strategy, and Race Chase is now into 4th. Which is not going to be turning into 3rd, because his penalty means he needs to be within 7 seconds, where Pleasant Snake is now. And that is not going to be happening, and Wouter is losing time. Maybe he's not pushing that much anymore, because he's certain about that podium, and he's going to be enjoying that as well. Despite that not being his primary opponent's field. We're going to be talking to the top 3 in a moment's time. As a couple of drivers have now been lapped already, and up until P15 they are behind by over a minute. And there's more pace to be found by David at the top, 6.2. Or there's a mistake, if there's any problem for him and his track limits. He's on 2. So yeah, he can't push that really much more. You would think so. Snake is still 1.7 seconds behind. Needs to be playing the patient waiting game if the tire is dropping away soon as well. Fellison is now on the brink of being not promoted to position, because David has kept him honest and has pushed away. Quincy has dropped back now even more, but his gap to the guys behind is even better, and Olche has himself promoted into 7th position, also on merit. And there's Vincenzo getting by again, better exit. And I think he also got the DRS, but yeah, 7 seconds of time penalty difference. Now, I revoked my previously made statement. It's now only 4 seconds, as Kovachka and Takagino are fighting for 9th position, with both of them having 3 seconds each. Kovačka not really known for good qualifyings. Finds himself regularly in the top 10 instead of last season. Very long season. And Tarquin hadn't been racing much. But good qualifying here and there, especially Q3 appearances when we had them. And now David has entered lap 28, 2 more to go and 2 more seconds lost for Pleasant Snake, and he's gonna be not getting that second place. He can still find himself at the win if Wouter is choking this. And Kovačka has gone by on Tarquin Gino, just keeping the gaps. And Quincy with a 3-second time penalty. Guaranteed P6 now. So gonna be a fight back from Tarquin Gino, and Pleasant Snake is on the brink of being and staying in P3. Pellison has dropped now back even more. Tessa at the end of its lifetime. One more lap for Snake. Let's check with his warnings. Also 2. That means David is on 0 because he's pushing that much. Not sure. There was at least one for collision, and Snake has dropped. Snake has dropped it. Only by a 10th. Alternative strategy working very well in his favor. Only no Seaborn Truckster without penalties, and that from Truckster is very much an improvement. As we have approached the final lap of this Grand Prix, we will be switching to Danger David now. As he's approaching the last sector. Final back straight for him. 410s he's currently holding the negative against Pleasant Snake. He's not gonna win this one. He had the best performance, best strategy, but his eagerness to get into the pit lane will be punished. David is gonna be serving that 10-second time penalty, which makes Wouter the winner of this Grand Prix, and Pleasant Snake is promoted into 2nd position. Ferguson is coming home in 4th. Race Chase in 5th, and yeah, Quincy's not gonna be happy, I think, with that. Way better result possibly in there. Quincy Vincenzo, Orche gets by on him, and then 15 seconds until that is Kovačka, who stayed in front of Tarquin Gino, as Skizzola and Bruiser are lapped and through already as well. Next across the line will be Rowley, but he is going to be demoted to P12 because Nocibo has no time penalties. And that's a nice effort by Nocibo. And Toby maybe has something to be going for him. Had a nice opening stint, fell away after that. Truckster with big improvements for his time penalties. One of the only few drivers without any here tonight. Devsy over the line to take home the final point if that stays. Yeah, ADS has way more penalties, and corners crashed it at the end. That means we have seen all of the Drivers. Now. And that has been it. For and there's the podium for you. A bit of rework in the animation category there as well. Nothing major. Still not the original trophies, but yeah. Double Mercedes and a Ferrari, but you only can look at Pleasant Stake's second place here and think it's gonna be the band to beat with Race Chase and Quincy behind. And that's something we're gonna be seeing. Let's look at the race winner. Fastest lap goes to Walter. Driver today is Truckster. Most positions gained, most overtakes for Rowley. And Truckster also the cleanest driver as he has probably no warnings in. Walter takes the opening round, which is preseason. Pleasant Snake, David, Fellas, and Race Chase. Quincy, both McLaren stayed where they started, but not the story of this race. Euche, then Vincenzo, Kovacka, Tagino. Both the Turkish drivers, Nosibo Rowley, Truxer, Toby, Dempsey, AES, Kwan. And then I think it was Skid Solo, Bruiser, and Ibo. Don't think there will be any post-race interviews. So, give me a sec. No, there won't be. And that will be the end of this one. Thank you very much for tuning in, and see you in 7 days' time for what it's gonna be. Let me check. Montreal. Yeah, Montreal. Enjoy. Until then, goodbye.